Welcome back. It's now time for our morning working session, and we are privileged to have Ted Hart with us. All of our Shalom Zones, all of the work that we do, with all of the love and all of our hearts and all of our sweat, we know that we cannot get it done without funds. That we all, although we're innovative and we do things on a shoestring, we all have to raise more money. And it is something that is common across the board for every single Shalom Zone in this country and abroad. And Ted is an expert who is going to help us with some very concrete and substantive information. Let me tell you a little bit about Ted Hart. Ted is a sought-after and internationally recognized speaker and consultant on the topics of nonprofit strategy and board volunteer development, both online and offline. He currently serves as the CEO for the International Charities AIDS Foundation of America. He has inspired the creation of people-to-people fundraising. I get his newsletters weekly, and they have been invaluable in helping us to craft our work that we do. He's also the founder of the International E-Philanthropy Foundation and has also taken leadership role in helping nonprofits become green by founding greenprofits.org movement. Hart has served as CEO of the University of Maryland Medical Systems Foundation, and before that, he was Chief Development Officer at Johns Hopkins. He's one of the youngest professionals ever to be certified as an advanced certified fundraising executive by the Association of Fundraising Professionals. Ted Hart is editor and author of 6 books and scores of published articles, and the host of the nonprofit Coach Internet Radio Association, and his most recent book is entitled Internet Management for Nonprofits. Ted Hart has a daughter and a son. He has worked with the United Methodist Church for many years. Several of us have been with Ted in various forums. We have learned a lot. If you would all put your hands together for Ted Hart. Have your minds set and ready to learn how we can fund our movement. Amen? I forgot I wasn't in a pulpit. Oh, okay.
And 1 second, folks. We had the technology working earlier, and as I was approaching the podium, it stopped working. Yeah.
You want to restart the show? Let's try.
Your folks set this up, so
At the GBGM table, we have, there's these books called Had Enough, and someone by mistake picked up a display copy. If you find it in your packets, if you find it somewhere on a table, would you bring it back to Jerry, please? And there's information on how to order all of these books. There's lots of resources, there's lots of free stuff out there. This wasn't one of them.
Sorry, these were the slides you were supposed to see. We were all geared up for you to be able to see a couple of slides that were part of my introduction. Thank you for welcoming me here back to Shalom. It's really a pleasure to be here with you. We've got an awful lot to cover, and as you know, we're just slightly behind getting this session started, so we're going to do everything that we can to end on time. But this is one of those sessions that's really all about you. This is about your organization. It's not so much what I've planned to say, but what I want to do is make sure that we personalize this for the folks that are here, because what's most important to me is that you walk out of here today being able to connect with a wider audience of people. And I'm particularly thankful to Ken today for helping kick off the theme for my presentation today, Come Together, Finally Woven, is all about the internet today. Because weaving together your ability to connect with the people in your community matters. That's what social media is all about. That's what the internet is all about. It's not just about fundraising, it's about building communities, because we know that as communities come together, they will want to support your efforts. So a few questions for you that will help me sort of focus my presentation today. And I've got a lot of content. So if I move a little bit too fast today, or you aren't sure what's up on those slides, if you give me your business card at the end of today, I'll be happy to email you a complete set of all the slides that I have today, so you don't have to take quite so fast the notes. You can have a complete set of these slides. So a few questions. How many of you represent a nonprofit organization that has a website right now? Okay. On those websites, how many of you currently offer the opportunity for someone to make a contribution online to your organization? How many of you have a social media profile somewhere on some platform personally? Personally, okay? And how many of you have a social media profile for your organization? Maybe Facebook or LinkedIn, some group. Thank you. Of those of you who said that you offer the opportunity for someone to make a contribution online on your website, how many of you here today are satisfied with the amount of money that you're raising online today? You came to the right place. That's why we're here, is to help you advance the cause of your community, to advance the cause of not only to be able to raise money, but to live up to coming together, finally woven. So I'm going to start off by asking you, what is your 8-year plan? Well, that's a pretty big time horizon, but why am I talking about 8 years? Because by 2020, 40% of current industrialized populations will come of age not knowing a time without social media, not knowing a time without mobile, text communication, and giving. Now, I dare say as I look around this room that there's more than a few of us here who remember the days before Facebook and texting and smartphones and the internet itself. But we're now going to be moving our communities into a time that 40% of those who we are trying to communicate with do not know that time. This is their reality. This is how they communicate with their friends. It is no accident at all that just yesterday, Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook announced that they have now surpassed 1 billion active users of Facebook. Now, why are there a billion people on Facebook? It's not because they have to be. It's not because anybody's making them be on Facebook. It's because they want to. Now, whether you're on Facebook or you're on LinkedIn or you're even still on MySpace, why are people on social media? Can anybody tell me why people have chosen? What is the one thing that is common to every single person, every billion people on Facebook, every single person on every social media platform? What's the one thing that is common to every one of them? What's that? Friends, the desire to connect. It's a very human thing to desire to connect with our community, a desire to connect with friends and family, a desire to connect with those who are part of our community. Well, you folks call yourselves the community of Shalom. So for me, that means that it seems that the internet has been uniquely designed for you. Because those who are part of your communities are already online. They are already connecting. The question is, are you part of that natural network that they are creating for themselves. And that's part of what we're here to talk about today. It's all about relationships. It's not about technology. Now, there's a lot of tools and techniques that I'm going to share with you today that are really important to your ability to move your organization forward to success online. But the bottom line is, I'm going to give you permission not to do anything that I suggest you do today, unless you are convinced that it will build and enhance stronger relationships for your organization. Because that's what it's all about. Money is nice, but people matter more. And when it comes to the internet, that's really what it's all about. That's why there are 1 billion people on Facebook. It's because they like to connect with each other. They like to connect with causes. They like to share their human experiences with other people, and the internet allows them to do that. Here's a few definitions that will help our discussion today. First is the phrase e-philanthropy. This is a phrase that I coined in 2000 when I founded the E-Philanthropy Foundation. What I meant then is what I mean now, and that is the use of the internet and digital technology to support philanthropic efforts. Now, the next couple of phrases I'm sure you've heard of before, social networking and Web 2.0, but the question is, what do they mean to you? Now, social networking, we usually equate that to things like Facebook and LinkedIn and platforms where you can connect with others, Twitter and other services like that. But when you see something like Web 2.0, does it kind of beg the question, well, was there Web 1.0? Did I not get the memo? When did we all decide we were going to be Web 2.0, and what is it? It is significant, and unfortunately for a lot of charities that I work with, we're still kind of stuck in Web 1.0. What that means is that our websites are there, we post content, people can come and find us, but the difference between Web 1.0 and Web 2.0 is the interactive web. Can they not only get your content, but can they interact with you? Can they share with you? Can they make you part of their network? And that's really what needs to be happening with your websites today. Now, my afternoon session, I know some of you are going out and some of you are going to stay back. If you stay back this afternoon, between 1 and 3 o'clock today, we're going to have an interactive session on websites, specifically on this topic of how you can change your website to be much better than it is today. And I'm actually going to show you, because I know budgets are tight and it's often difficult to get someone to build a website for you. And this last weekend, I just worked with a charity in Jackson, Mississippi. And we took a look at their website. First of all, I knew we were in trouble because when I looked at the website, the copyright on the website was 2006. And when we looked at the events that they were promoting on their website, they were very exciting events in 2007. And when I asked, how do you update your website, and I knew that they really hadn't, she said, well, we actually don't know. I'm new here. We don't actually know who updates our website, but I have an email that I can send an email to, and sometime after that, things happen on our website, and they email back and say, okay, it's done, but I've never met that person, and I don't know where they are. We don't have any passwords. We can't actually change our own website itself. And so I knew they were in trouble, so we sat down and we actually, together, built a brand new website for them in about 4 hours that they can now update and change themselves, that they have the passwords for. And so I'm going to share with you today, we're going to analyze some of the websites that are in the audience, and I'm going to share with you how you can take command of your own website. And that sounds like it's a really technical, very difficult thing to do, and it used to be. And it sounds like that's something that could be very, very expensive, and it used to be. But the nice thing for all of you here is that you are now looking to advance the cause of your organization in an age where you can do these things for free. That we're talking about third, fourth, and fifth generation technology on the internet today, the things that people used to have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars for are now available to you. So between 1 and 3 today, we're going to be talking about those topics. That brings me to my last definition, and that's people-to-people fundraising. This is the Holy Grail. This is when you know you've made it. When you can analyze your fundraising program and you can determine that you are in fact using people-to-people strategy for your fundraising. And what people-to-people fundraising strategy means is that you are inspiring people to give to your cause. But you have people who are your ambassadors who are asking their family, friends, and colleagues to give to your organization. And the difference between people-to-people fundraising and probably what you're doing right now is you know you're not doing it right if you're doing all the asking. If you're sending out all the direct mail, if you're sending out all the email, if all the asks for money are coming from you, then that's not people-to-people fundraising. What people-to-people fundraising does is it gives you the tools to inspire people to take action on their own, to reach out to people who are not in your database, but people who they are sure will care about your cause. It's about expanding your base through the pathway of those people who already care about you. If you want to succeed online, you need to stop fundraising. And that's true. How many of you are sick to death of all the fundraising emails that you get? Well, I'm going to share with you today how those fundraising emails make a difference as to who they come from. And how much money you raise really matters about the strategy that you're using, not just the emails that you're sending. What you need to be doing is inspiring action. Using all of the tools of your website, social media, and I'm going to break it down for you today in terms of the hierarchy of those things that you need to be doing online, because I know this can be overwhelming. I know when this topic is presented, it's like, well, I already have a day job. I'm plenty busy. I know these things are important, and I know I want to make progress on these things, but how do I fit this into the things that I already have to accomplish? So part of my job today is to break this down and to help you understand not only those things that you really need to do now, but also to help you prioritize what are the things that you really don't have to do right now. Not to say that they're not important, but how do you prioritize those things that you need to do? The greater universe of potential for your organization lies in the vast number of supporters who can be inspired and referred by your current donors. So the key to your future fundraising success is that pathway through those people who know you best. And what often happens when we look at the internet, I mean, particularly when you hear about 1 billion people on Facebook, you have to be sitting there and thinking, you know, even if just a small percentage of those people accidentally give to my organization, that's got to be a lot of money, right? But people don't accidentally give to organizations. They tend to give where their heart is. They tend to give where their friends give, and they tend to give as part of a community. So the question is, how do you bring this community of Shalom that matters so much to you to those people that it also matters to via the internet? These are the 6 pillars for online success. I share with you the 6 pillars for online success because in general terms, this will help you prioritize those things that you need to be doing right now. And we start, first and foremost, with a well-designed website. I can absolutely assure each and every one of you, and there are some of you who have already come up and spoken to me, so you know this to be true, it is not a true statement to say, I Facebook, therefore I fundraise. Not say that Facebook isn't important, but Facebook is not a sure path to lots and lots of money. It's just not. And it doesn't matter how good you get on Facebook or LinkedIn or any of the other social media. You might be just tweeting up a storm. But if you're driving people back to a poorly designed website that does not tell your story and is not inviting to your community, then you're really wasting your time. So it comes down to a well-designed website. I'm going to share with you in this session some of the principles of that, but we're really going to have more time in the afternoon session between 1 and 3 today to really delve into that. But we're going to do it in a way that matters to managers like you. The afternoon session is not going to be for technicians. It's going to be to empower you to be able to have that dialogue to say, I now can manage that process because I have a higher degree of understanding. I don't have to just get my 15-year-old nephew to come over and help me with our website because he's the only one that understands, right? You know how this happens, right? So the number 2 most important strategy we're going to talk about today is GuideStar, a GuideStar strategy. And you'll see in the hierarchy here, number 3 is LinkedIn, number 4 is Twitter. Look at this, Facebook that gets all the publicity. And I'm not saying they're not important. They're in the top 6 pillars of success, but they're number 5. What that means is that as you're prioritizing and people are sort of pushing you on Facebook, you can tell them, because I said so, that you know better. It's important, but there are other things that have to be in place before we get to that big Facebook strategy, because you can't really leapfrog. It matters how you build that base, and we know that in life. You can't just leap to the head of the class. You have to learn your lessons along the way, and that's what we're talking about with these pillars of success. And number 6 here is YouTube Google strategy, and I'm going to share that with you. But the bottom line is, all of these things that are important, and all of these things will make a difference for your organization. What matters most is integration. This is not some alien force that has now come and set upon your organization. This has to be integrated into everything that you do. Your events, if you're doing events offline, can I access them online? If you have various activities that are important to your community, can I get that information online? And more importantly, can I connect to that community if I can't be there physically? But the online and offline world have to work together. It's not just, well, here's what we do offline, and then somebody else does this online stuff, and gee, I hope they're doing a good job because I don't really understand it. But they tell me they're doing a good job, so I guess I have to believe that. I want you to walk out of here today knowing what a good job looks like. I'm not sending you out here today saying that you are now going to be the kings and queens of tweeting. Maybe you will be, maybe you won't be. But what's most important from where you sit is, can you have an intelligent discussion about all of these tools and know how you're managing them to the better success of your organization? That's what I think is more important. Because we are now moving into a new world, a new age that is completely redefining what most of us grew up with. Now, you're not here today because you're a failure. You have come together today because you have built something special. You have come here today because you are a success in your community and you are looking to expand that success. Well, a lot of what we've known that got us here to this point of success is now changing right before our eyes. What has defined a lot of fundraising success in the past has really been direct marketing. Whether it's direct mail or it's phoning or all sorts of tools that we've had to be able to raise money. That has really helped us become very successful. But now, you'll see the post box here represents all those traditional forms of fundraising, which are not, by the way, going away. And those who predict that direct mail is dead are wrong. Direct mail is here to stay, but it is going to change, and it does need to integrate with social media and the online world, but it's going to stay. Telephone is not dead. As a matter of fact, it's growing, but how do we use that in an integrated way with social media? That's what's going to be important. So now all those traditional forms of fundraising now need to be connected to our website, to our email, to social media, and yes, to mobile. This group that I worked with this weekend, we not only built a website for them in 4 hours, but we also created a mobile site for them as well, so that people who can access them with smartphones, which now a third of your market is probably trying to access you by mobile phone, and if you don't have a mobile site, they really can't connect with you because they may not be trying to even get to your website. And all of that means direct influencing. So we're no longer relying on direct marketing. We now have the ability to directly influence each of these people through all of these tools. But how do we integrate all these things together? That's the question. Now, some good news for some of you who might be sitting here, but some of your board of directors who might be sitting there thinking, well, you know, this is all well and good. If we were trying to raise money from 20-year-olds, but we're a serious organization with serious donors who are more mature, and those mature donors certainly aren't online. You know, my 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old donors, they're not online, so that lets me off the hook. I don't have to worry about all of this because they're not online anyway. Well, guess what? They are. Penelope Burke over at Cygnus Donor Research has been looking at this topic, and she has found in her research a definitive shift to online giving and electronic communication, even among donors over age 65. So if you are sitting there trying to convince yourself that, well, this is for everybody else, but not for me, because my donors are certainly not online, you're probably not right. You're probably fooling yourself, and you want to start thinking about how everybody is moving online. Because